Hi children, good morning. This is the Unit 3 Human Relations for class 10th. Now I am going to deal with B reading Another Woman poem, session 5. Hi children, today we are going to deal with third unit Human Relations. In that poem Another Woman. Another Woman written by Miss Imthiyaz Dharker. Miss Imthiyaz Dharker is a versatile poet who has been praised for her excellent poetry, especially on women. This poem depicts the pathetic condition of the woman who lives in our country. The title of the poem Another Woman is aptly chosen as it is a very prevalent and common thing. This treatment and this incident can happen to any woman, any another woman, especially any married woman can relate to this poem. This poem is like a song which plays in every married woman's head, but she is scared to sing it out due to the fear that it might just become a reality for her, and in that way her very life would be at stake. Now we will know about the author. Miss Imthiyaz Dharker was born in Lahore in Pakistan in 1954 and brought up in Glasgow, Scotland. She is ranked on par with some of the famous women poets of India such as Kamala Das, Sujata Bhatt and Tara Patil. She is not only a poet but also a painter and an accomplished documentary filmmaker. Her collections of poetry include Parda, Postcards from God, and I Speak for the Devil, The Terrorist at My Table, and Living Fingerprints. Children, before going to the poem, let's look into the glossary. First one, Methi. Methi means fenugreek. In our language, we called it as menthikura. The picture shows methi leaves. Next one, bought. To get something by paying money for it. Bought means to get something by paying money for it. Crunch. To make loud noise when you are eating something hard. Children, crunch means to make loud noise when you are eating something hard. Chopped. To cut something into pieces with knife. This picture shows chopped onion. Shielding. To protect from damage. Shielding means to protect from damage. Here this picture shows the woman shielding her face with her hands. White radish. White and round or finger-shaped vegetable. This picture shows radish. Extravagance. Spending more than necessary in an uncontrolled way. Children, extravagance means spending more than necessary in an uncontrolled way. Curses. A word used for expressing anger. In this picture, you can see mother-in-law cursing her daughter-in-law. Next, crouch. to stoop or bend low. Blazing, to burn with bright, strong flames. Blazing means to burn with bright, strong flames. Children, I think you people are now familiar with the glossary words. Let's move to be reading. Now I am going to recite the poem Another Woman. Just follow me. This morning she bought green methi in the market, choosing the freshest bunch, picked up a white radish. Imagine the crunch it would make between her teeth. The sweet, sharp taste. Then put it aside, thinking it an extravagance. Counted her coins out carefully, tied them, a small bundle, into her sari at the waist. Came home, faced her mother-in-law's dark looks, took the leaves and chopped them. Her hands stained yellow from the juice. Cut an onion fine and cook the whole thing in the pot over the stove, shielding her face from the heat. The usual words came and beat their wings against her. The money spent, curses heaped upon her parents who had sent her out to darken other people's doors. She crouched as usual on the floor beside the stove. When the man came home, she did not look into his face nor raise her head, but bent her back a little more. Nothing gave her the right to speak. She watched the flame hiss up and beat against the cheap old pot, a wing of brightness against its blackened cheek. This was the house she had been sent to, the man she had been bound to, the future she had been born into. So when the kerosene was thrown, just a moment of surprise, a brilliant spark. It was the only choice that she had ever known. Another torch, blazing in the dark. Another woman. We shield our faces from the heat. Now we will summarize the poem. Miss Imthiyaz Dharker is a versatile poet who has been praised for her excellent poetry, especially on women. She is a multifaceted personality. Her poem, Another Woman, garnered adulations due to its originality and the society's perspective towards women. The poem explains how a woman starts her day with daily household chores. Her work has no limitations, but perfection is always expected out of her. She makes sure to select the best vegetables from the market. Her purchasing should be within budget. After all, day's toil she could not satisfy her mother-in-law. She heads towards the kitchen to accomplish her pending cooking work like cutting onion, chopping leaves, and preparing food. She prepares the food with much effort and bears the extreme heat of the stove. While cooking, bad words and torture from her own family members makes her feel miserable. Above all, when her husband arrives home, she can never share her oaths, rather should listen what he demands. Her rights are confiscated for a lifetime. She feels like the heat of the flame is engulfing her. She feels tied up with insult and torture by her own family members. At the end of the poem, the woman dies as the kerosene was thrown over her, and her death is also not discussed, which was the only choice made for her. The end is very suggestive, where poet uses repetition figure of speech by the line another woman. The words suggest the repetitive deaths of women incurred due to inhuman treatment given to women. Children, I assume that you people understood the poem and its summary very well. Now we will move to comprehension. Answer the following questions. First question. The woman thought of buying a white radish but later on decided against it, thinking it an extravagance. Do you think it is an extravagance? Support your answer. Children, you can answer this question in two ways. First one, no, it's not an extravagance, as I can afford it and it has nutritional values which is healthy for the family. Or in other way, yes, it's an extravagance for the woman in the poem, as her mother-in-law always scolds her about their expenditure. Our second question, what does the phrase mother-in-law's dark looks suggest? Answer, mother-in-law's dark looks suggest that she was angry with daughter-in-law, that she spent more than needed. She never treats her daughter-in-law with love and affection. She thought that her daughter-in-law is her natural enemy. Third question, the usual words came in beat. In line 19, where did the words come from? Why? The words come from mother-in-law, that she scolds her daughter-in-law saying that she spends extra money. She also blames her parents. Her words beats the young woman, yet she suffers in silence. Why did the woman crouch on the floor? Line 24. Answer, the woman crouches on the floor, that shows her modesty, obedience, and submissive nature. It shows her position in that home. Coming to next question, what does the phrase as usual suggest? The phrase as usual suggests that the mother-in-law scolding her is common. It is not new and there is no hope to change. Why do you think the woman bent her back a little more when her husband came home. Was her husband helpful? Support your answer quoting from the poem. Answer: the woman bent her back a little more when her husband came home. This shows that he was not helpful to her. He was unconcerned about her feelings. He listened to his mother's harsh words, yet he didn't say a single word, so she didn't have faith on him. Our seventh question. The last line of the first stanza talks about the woman shielding her face from heat, whereas the last line of poem talks about people shielding their face from the heat. How are they different? In the first stanza, the woman shielding her face from heat, she tries to protect herself from the heat of the stove. The last line of the poem suggests that the people are the harsh realities of our society, though the people know about the sufferings being faced by women. No one comes forward to act against it. Eighth question. So when the kerosene was thrown, who threw the kerosene? Why? Support your answer quoting from the poem. You can answer this question in two ways, children. First answer is, the woman herself threw kerosene on her. She suffered a lot in her in-laws' home. It was the only choice that she had ever known. Or it may be like this. The mother-in-law threw kerosene on her, as she always ill-treats her daughter-in-law and considered her as the one who came to darken others' doors. Our ninth question. What does the title suggest? The title, Another Woman, suggests that she is only one of many women who suffer. The woman in the poem is a typical example of the women who are imposed to the domestic violence. 10th question. Words do not have wings, but the author used them as if they had wings. The usual words came and beat their wings against. This is a literary device called personification. Find out the other instances of personification in the poem. Answer. The poem has some examples of personification. They are: she was the flames hiss up and beat against the cheek of the old pot. Here, flames are lifeless and they hiss like a living being. Similarly, the pot is personified as having a cheek. And in a wing of brightness, brightness is personified as having a wing. Our last question, the journey. The author used the journey as a symbol of life. You will find such symbols in this poem too. Pick them out and talk about them. Answer. The poem Another Woman has many symbols. The title itself is a symbol of all suffering women. Heat is a symbol of suffering and blame. Crouch is a symbol of obedience. Dark looks is a symbol of anger. Usual words is a symbol of ill treatment. Only choice is a symbol of no hope to live. Another torch is the symbol of another woman who is ending her life. Thank you, children. Keep learning till the next video and expand your knowledge like a tree. This is B. Lakshmi Bhavani, School Assistant English.